Benvenuto! Welcome to Cherry Hill Home Cooking. My name is Mark. Today we're going to make chili. Now, chili is something I don't make. I don't think I've ever made chili in my life. I like chili. I love chili. Often we'll get it when we go out to a restaurant or, if we're at a barbecue or something and there's chili there, well, I always enjoy it. Probably I have never made it because Wade doesn't really like spicy, so I've never kind of done my own chili recipe. Although I'll have to say, I think Wade would agree, over the last couple of years, he's started to appreciate a little bit more spicy, a little bit more heat in certain things. But so there's a backstory to this fantastic chili. Over the Christmas holiday, Wade's company had a nice little cocktail party with, drinks and hors d'oeuvres and so on and so forth. And we were all sitting there in a table, and the people that he works with the most in the office. And I'm not quite sure how this came up. Do you remember, Wade, how the whole idea of doing a chili cook-off came up? No, we must have been talking about something. And well, I know they were talking about kind of how over COVID as an office, everyone, was kind of locked up in their offices and so on, and how a lot of those restrictions are getting eased up. So, they're spending more time out in the communal area of the office. But anyway, somehow chili came up, and of course the people that were sitting with us know that I'm a fabulous, that I like to cook, and of course this was a cook-off for the employees in the office, so I had to swear that I would not help, and I didn't help Wade make his chili, and I didn't. The only thing that I did do is find a recipe that I thought was kind of easy enough to make. There wasn't a lot of chopping, a lot of cutting, and so on and so forth. So I found this recipe for chili Colorado, which was very good, and we will make it in an episode, in an upcoming episode. And Wade actually made the chili all himself. As a matter of fact, he made a really spicy version and a mild version, and he did 99.5% of everything. I did help a little bit with, about how to brown the meat and stuff, but he did it all. And anyway, make a long story short, this gentleman, Brandon, who works in the office, and his wife, Christina, also works there. Again, I think that's how we got the chili idea. And they said, hey, we should have a chili cook-off. So, along with several different people in the office, they kind of all organized this cook-off. I think they had 12 participants, and everybody brought in their chili. They numbered them. Everybody did a tasting, and then they, put the number that they liked in a bowl, and the winner was chosen by whoever had the most of their number in the bowl. And of course, with no doubt, I was certain that Brendan was going to win because he was telling me about his chili and it sounded delicious. So anyway, again, to make a long story short, Wade brought me home a little taste of it, and it was delicious. So I'm going to call this Brandon's award-winning chili. He was nice enough to email us the recipe, and I think we've got everything that we need to make a delicious chili. So with that being said, let's finally go over our recipe. Now, so Brendan sent the recipe via email and the directions. All right, so we're going to make Texas-style chili, right? So what we're going to need is we need about 1.5 pounds of ground beef. I've got low-fat beef here. I think it's 85/15. I'm going to put the recipe on the website exactly how he gave it to me, maybe just with a couple little clarifications on what I think is the amounts. So he's made this chili for, many years. His family and friends love it. And sometimes he does it a little bit different. Like, for instance, for the cook-off, he added some stew beef. All right, so I got, he said, a little bit of stew beef. Wasn't quite sure what a little bit is, so I'm thinking that's 1/2 pound, all right? So I got 1/2 pound of nice lean stew beef here, cut into very small chunks. I don't really want to touch it, but I don't know if you can see. So I cut it into small chunks because I don't remember his having big chunks in it. He says in his recipe to chop it. And it's Saturday. I didn't want to call and bother him. And his wife let them enjoy their weekend. But it gave it a little bit of texture, so that was really nice. All right, and then we're going to need some McCormick. That's what he used, or in the recipe, McCormick mild chili. Now, again, in the recipe, it'll be a little bit more clarified. But without the stew beef, he says use 1.5 packages. With the stew beef, he says to use 2.5. So I will figure out what 2.5 is for you, and that'll be in the recipe. All right. And then we need some red kidney beans. We need some, so this is a roughly 15.5 ounce jar of kidney beans. We've got some, and then one thing also who's very specific in the recipe was to get fire roasted diced tomatoes. So we've got, again, roughly a 15 ounce can of that. We've got just a can of tomato sauce. We're gonna need some tomato paste. All right, and now the one thing I'm changing in this, I'm not changing it just because I couldn't get it, but he says to use a 1/2 pack of Jimmy Dean hot breakfast sausage. I couldn't get hot, so I'm going to use the plain. So I'm just going to cut that in half, and I'm going to use half of this package, and we'll use the half for breakfast tomorrow. His recipe calls for the hot version. I couldn't find the hot version, so we'll use that one. All right, and then for our spicy, we got some jalapeno peppers. All right, he says 3 jalapeno peppers or more, depending upon how hot you want it. Well, I got the smallest jalapeno peppers I could. I am using 3, just because I'm not quite sure how hot that's going to be. We need a couple cloves of garlic peeled, of course. We need a 1/2 of white large onion. We need a 1/2 bunch of cilantro and a bunch of green onions. All right, and let's see, what does he say about the beer? And this recipe comes together, it looks like it's going to come together so quick. Excuse me for a moment. He says, I will add a little water or beer, usually beer, in parentheses, LOL, and add the seasoning packet. So, with that being said, you can use beer. I'm going to use beer because that's how he made it. Plus, give an excuse for me to buy a 6-pack of beer, so it'll be around the house. But you could also use some water, or if you want some beef stock, vegetable stock, or chicken stock will work just fine. All right, and then as far as some additional spices, he said that he uses adobo, a couple others in there, and I'm going to put them in the recipe, but I didn't have any adobo. So I'm going to add some coriander, some chili powder, and some salt. All right, so before we clean this up and get going, I just want to, the onion, I'm going to do this in my little processor, so you don't have to, I'm not going to worry about cutting it up too much, but of course, if you're going to do it by hand, you want them diced, relatively small, all right? So the pepper, of course, the inside of the pepper, the pith and the seeds, those are going to give you the most heat. So just again, because it's the first time I've made it, I'm going to take most of that out. Like I said, I don't use jalapenos a lot. I know it's certainly not the hottest pepper that people cook with. And again, Brandon says in his recipe that if you want it hotter, use more. He used 3 in the recipe that he brought in for the cook-off. Which, did I say he won? Yes, he did win. And rightly so. I don't know, can we add some pictures? It looked like everybody had a really good time. Maybe Wade can at least add a picture of where they had everything set up. Yep. Everybody there went to a lot of fun, or put a lot of effort in, so everyone enjoyed themselves. They set up tables and made sure everybody had a place to plug whatever they in. Also, Brandon and Christina provided, you know, some accoutrements like sour cream and cheese and stuff like that. I'm not going to do that today, but of course, sour cream, Monterey Jack shredded cheese. Maybe you might want to chop up a little bit of, finely chop up some onion. That goes well in the, you know, with chili. Nice dollop on top of the sour cream on top of the chili. All right, so that's all I did for that. I'm going to throw those in my little chopper along with our garlic. Our onions, I'll hand chop the green onions. And let's see if we can get this all in there. Can we? We'll see if it works. That's the question. No, I mean, I think, you know, so I cut off most of the stem on the cilantro. And I think that the thing with this is it doesn't have to necessarily be, you could almost maybe chop it into a paste. Let's see how well this is. In Brandon's recipe, he said he did it in the food processor. Although he said he cut the cilantro by hand. I don't feel like dirtying up my big food processor, so we'll see how this one does. Looking pretty good. All right, so obviously, guys, I'm going to go finish that up. All right, so, and then with our green onions, use the whites and the grains. Just chop them up nice, small. Oop. No, put your finger out like that on the knife. What was that? And on one of the cooking challenges, she comes up and slaps their hand away. All right, I think that's good. All right, I'm gonna clean up the rest of this mess. And other than all the talking I did, this goes together so quick. I can't wait. Now, I'm gonna cook this in a Dutch oven. That's what Brandon used for the cook-off. He said he does do it in the crock pot occasionally. Now, if I didn't have to fry up the meat and stuff, I probably would have done the crock pot. But I kind of have this idea in my head with the crock pot, and we've gone over this as we've done other things. I like it to be a one pot meal that goes in the crock pot, and this way I'd have to use two pans to fry up the meat and then put everything in the crock pot. But anyway, if you want to do it in the crock pot, I do everything exactly like we're going to do here, and then I do it in the crock pot for on low. I'd say at least 6 hours. Of course, chili is one of those things. The longer it cooks, the better it gets. We're going to do it on the little induction burner on low for about 3.5 hours, maybe even a little bit longer. And of course, chili is always better the day before too. So, all right, we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, guys, believe it or not, everything we're going to need is here. I'm going to get this all in the pot, and it's going to be delicious. All right, so we're going to start with, I've got my Dutch oven on medium heat. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. Probably don't really need it because we're going to start with the pork, and that will, you know, get some fat going in your pan. All right, so like I said, so I've got this is half of that package of sausage. Like I said, I'm going to get that in there first just because that will take the longest to cook. But again, we're not gonna have to worry about cooking it 100%, but we'll get this going, get a little brown on there. Oh, it smells delicious already. That's kind of how my mess came out with our, so that's our jalapeno, garlic, and onions in there. Should have done it in the bigger food processor. Could have gotten it a little bit more chunky, but. I'm just kind of, taking out the big chunks. Got a nice little bit of brown on there. All right, let's add our stew meat. And then a good stir, get it all mixed around. And let's go ahead with our ground beef. All right, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna get this all nice and browned. And of course, keep an eye on it. You don't want it to burn. All right, so that's probably going to take a good 5-10 minutes for that to get all brown and delicious, and we'll see you back then. All right, we got everything nicely browned. All of the liquid is evaporated, or water that comes out. So we got our coriander, cumin, salt, and pepper. Let's put that in there, give it a stir. And we'll get our chili powders in there. Right now I've got a medium. I'm going to just turn it down a skosh. So we got 2. And I think I'm going to take 2 tablespoons out of the other package. And now, since it's the first time I've made it, I'm just making this kind of single batch. If I had made this before and I knew exactly how it was going to come out, when I made it, I would I double this because I think this would freeze really well too. So let's mix in that into there. All right, so Brandon doesn't say exactly how much beer. So I'm gonna say at least enough. So probably about half a bottle. Get everything swimming in there. It smells good already. What do you think? Should I put the whole bottle in? Yeah, I think that's good. If you want to put a whole bottle in, by all means, go ahead. We'll save that little bit for later. All right, I got my mashed up greens and onions. And what else we have in there? Garlic, right? That all stirred in. Now, I mean, chili usually has cilantro in it. I think that's pretty, or if not in it, you garnish it with it. Some people don't like cilantro. So to some people it smells like, or tastes like soap. It tastes delicious to me. I suppose, I'm gonna take that one little big onion out of there. I suppose you could use parsley if you happen to be one of those people that don't like cilantro. Some fresh parsley would give it that nice green freshness. All right, so then he says to dump everything else in there with the liquid and all. So those are our kidney beans. Got lots of them down there. Why? Get that out of there. Those are stir. And we got our fire roasted tomatoes. And our tomato sauce. Ooh, this makes quite a bit. Of course, this is going to reduce a bit as it cooks, probably quite a bit. So it will cook down. And he calls for 3/4 of a cup of tomato, or 3/4 a can of tomato paste. That's about, I love tomato paste. I could eat it like that. Okay. Now, I'm going to say this needs to be brought to a boil, or just about the boil. Brandon wasn't specific about that, but I'm pretty sure he probably lets it come to just about the boil. All right, and that's probably going to take 5-10 minutes. I'm going to go back to medium-high or medium and let that come to a boil. And we'll be back when it's boiling. Okay, you can see we've just got some little bubbles coming up to the top, so it's just right at about the boil. And I forgot the green onions. Sorry about that. You could have put that all in when you had everything in the pot. But anyway, that's easily correct. I'll tell you, it's starting to look like Brandon's. I hope it is. All right, so we are going to put this down to a simmer. And believe it or not, that's really all we have to do. Over the next 3 hours, we're going to give it a stir, maybe every 20 minutes or so. Or if you're around, walk by the pot and give it a stir. And make sure that you're still at a simmer. I'm going to cover it lightly, not fully. We don't want too much evaporation, but we don't want it to boil, get too hot if the lid is on tight. All right, so I'm going to say on low, you want to let this cook for a minimum of 3 hours. The longer, the better. It looks delicious enough to eat right now, but I guess we'll wait for 3 hours. All right, we'll see you in 3 hours. All right, we're back. That went by quick. I know I said simmer it for 3 hours. I should have believed Brandon and followed his directions. He said, let it simmer out 2 hours. And you know what? He was right, because I think it's perfect. The beautiful consistency. It's done. All right, it's time to eat. Okay, it is finally supper time, and we're going to taste our delicious chili. Hopefully, it looks perfect. Let's taste. Ooh. Or I should say it looks just like Brandon's did.
Brandon.
It's
just the way he did, almost.
Delicious. I think I did a little too much cilantro. I would cut down that a little bit. And then the other thing is, it's got a little kick to it in the back, but it's not really hot. Now, we didn't use the hot breakfast sausage. I definitely will make it next time like that, so it might add a little bit more heat to it. But
that's just very good.
Delicious.
I'm not really a chili person, but I would eat this. It's not too spicy, so.
Yep, I think it's perfect. And of course, we got some cornbread with it that I already took a bite out. The beverage is choice for chili.
Very delicious.
Delicious. Excuse me. Hey, Brandon and Christina, I hope you we did you proud. Thank you so much for taking the time to write out the recipe and send it over to us.
Yep.
And this is my new favorite chili. All right, I'm gonna finish eating. The only other thing I want to say is I hope you all enjoyed watching us make our new favorite chili. And please make it yourself. Let us know.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Please like and subscribe. And check out cherryhillhomecooking.com. And we'll see you on the next video.
Ciao.
Bye.